Hey, welcome back to Anatomy. I'm Mr. Shrum, and we are moving on to the peripheral nervous system and nerves. I hope you all had a great New Year and holiday break, and maybe you're in the mood for some more anatomy slash physiology. But if you remember our talks of the nervous system before, we are going to go over some new things and some old things as well. So here we go. The nervous system is structurally divided into the central nervous system. We call that the CNS for short. That is comprised of the brain and the spinal cord. So it's very centralized, right? The middle part of your body. That is the central nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, or the PNS, includes the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. And so in this picture, we have the nervous system central, and then the other parts are the peripheral. Peripheral meaning sides or secondary. Think along those lines. The peripheral nervous system, the PNS, sends and receives impulses to and from the central nervous system. So the CNS talks to the PNS, and they communicate with one another. And to begin our study of the peripheral nervous system, we're going to take a deeper look into the anatomy of a nerve. And here is a nerve cell. Cells of the nervous system are known as neurons. So neurons are specialized cells that organize and carry out electrical impulses through the nervous system. So we have electricity running throughout our body. And that is how these neurons and cells communicate throughout your nervous system. And here is a neuron and the parts of a neuron. We have a mitochondrion, the little nucleus, the cell body. These little tree branch looking things are called dendrites. We have the axon and axon terminals and synapse, and we'll learn about these parts in the future. But we can say they have three basic components. The cell body up here, dendrites, the ones that stick out here, and then the axon here. Cell body, dendrites, and the axon. The cell body of a neuron contains the nucleus, while the dendrites send electrical impulses towards the cell body. So these dendrites send electrical impulses towards the cell body itself. And the axon send electrical impulses away from the cell. So think of axons, A, away, axons, A, away, A. So A's go together here. Axons send electrical impulses away. Dendrites receive impulses, and they send them towards the cell body. Away from cell body, axons, towards cell body, dendrites. Okay, so keep those two straight in your own mind. The neuroglia are accessory cells that support neurons in the nervous system. And they go by another name as glial cells. Glial cells. So whatever's easier for you to say, go with that. But they mean the same thing. So be familiar with neuroglia, because that will probably come up in the questions, right? Since it's in blue compared to the others. But here we get another picture of the neuron, the cell body, the dendrites sending electrical impulses towards the cell body, axons sending them away. And these glial cells, the neuroglial cells, glial is like a shortened form of this, right? Glial, let's see if I can just, oh, it won't let me highlight it. Neuroglial cells produce a lipid protein substance called myelin. And they work together to wrap a sheath around the axons. So you see this blue part here in this diagram. That is a myelin sheath. And wrapping around the axons and dendrites in the CNS and PNS. And these sheaths cause the electrical impulses to travel faster. They're like fiber optic cables, right? They allow things to move faster. Excuse me, I had to take a drink of coffee. But they boost the speed of those electrical impulses, these sheaths. A nerve is a collection of neuron fibers. And nerves throughout the peripheral nervous system are classified as cranial nerves or spinal nerves. Cranial, meaning it deals with the brain and nerves in the cranium, or spinal nerves deal with nerves along your spine. Cranial nerves originate from the brain. And here we have a picture of these nerves and how they are organized. Spinal nerves are a collection of nerve fibers that originate from the spinal cord. And here we classify the spinal nerves into certain sections, C, T, L, and those can be seen here in this picture. And that explains which are which. And both of these cranial nerves and spinal nerve categories, they can be sensory nerves, motor nerves, or mixed. And another name for these, sensory or afferent, and efferent for motor. Whatever is easier for you to remember them by, go with that. Sensory or afferent nerves are made of fibers that carry impulses toward the CNS. Toward. A way to help you remember this is afferent nerves attack the CNS. Attack. So A as in afferent is to A as in attack. They're sending stuff towards the CNS. Whereas motor neurons, motor nerves, are composed of fibers that carry impulses away from the CNS. So a way to remember this one, motor, or E as in efferent nerves, is to E as in exit. Yeah, sensory, they pick up information, they send it towards the CNS. Nerves send things exiting the CNS to make you perform motor functions. And then there's mixed. So you get a mix of the receiving and sending impulses. Mixed nerves can send impulses in both directions. Let's recap everything, because that is quite a bit to go through, but we'll go through additional lessons next time. The peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves originating from the brain and spinal nerves originating from the spinal column. And nerves are a combination of neurons and neuroglial cells that make nerve fibers. These nerve fibers then determine whether the nerve is sensory and sensory nerves or afferent, sensory afferent nerves. They send impulses toward the CNS. Motor nerves send impulses away from the CNS. And mixed nerves can send impulses both ways, to and from the CNS. And that's the end of that first peripheral nervous system lesson. We'll get into more of it next time, but hopefully that helped you with the vocab and learning how we are going to talk about the nervous systems. All right, that is all for today, and I will see you all next time. All right, bye-bye.